Danganronpa.
I said no, thank you very much.
God, couldn't you guys understand the message from Trigger Happy Havoc's countdown? Making these makes me very sad. Is what I would say, but we all knew this was coming after the last Danganronpa countdown. Danganronpa 2, Goodbye Despair. With a roster full of even more colorful personalities than before, this game likes to stand out, even among the other titles. I mean, it's not like it's not deserved. To this day, it's hard for me to find a game that can truly rival Danganronpa 2. Except for The Lost Age, which is a separate matter altogether. This game is as close to a masterpiece as I could have ever wanted. One of the few games that not only tried to make me understand and live the story, but opened my heart up to new emotions. I can confidently say that this game changed me. As you might know, it was through Danganronpa 2 that I got into the series, and ever since then I've become a massive fan. Not only that, I feel like I've been taught some very important lessons from the story of this game, mainly to never give up on life. And those of you who have played will know exactly what I'm talking about. So, I feel it's only appropriate that I pay tribute to the set of characters that make the core of Danganronpa 2 by ranking my favorites. This time, I do have some rules though. As much as I like the characters from the whole series, it wouldn't be right to include what I call, big air quotes, duplicates in this countdown. That said, characters from the previous installment of Danganronpa are respectfully out of the list. It wouldn't be fair for the remaining cast of characters like Yoko, Makoto, and Alter Ego were talked about as well. Alright, I believe that covers everything. Forgot to mention, but obviously this top will have some heavy spoilers for Danganronpa 2, as well as minor spoilers for Danganronpa 3's Despair arc. Watch at your own risk of punishment, younglings! Once again,
let's give it everything we've got!
if there's anything I really dislike doing, that something is being predictable in a top 10 list. That said, I'm going to be super predictable in the entirety of this countdown. I know this technically goes against what I just said, but come on. You can't really blame me for this. Number 10 this time is the character who'd win the award for Deserved Better. Not by a landslide, since there are a lot of characters like this in Danganronpa 2, but she'd still win it. I don't even need to introduce her now, do I?
I've seen through it.
Well, I'm about to be crucified, but Pekka is only number 10 in this list. Even so, it's simply amazing that I could even consider somebody like the Ultimate Swordswoman to be remotely close to being left off of this top 10. Just goes to show that this cast is truly something spectacular. Anyways, back on track. Now, don't get me wrong, Pekka is a phenomenal character with one of the best backstories in the game. That said, it pains me to say that the impact she has on the game doesn't really matter until the end of Chapter 2, but I'll talk about that later on. For now, I want to focus on Pekka as an overall character. During the time you see her, she kind of fails to stand out all that much. Yeah, sure, she's cool, has this amazing demeanor, and seems like an overall badass, but besides the hilarious misunderstanding with their situation upon the first murder, it's hard to think of a moment that featured Pekka as the main catalyst. She's just kind of there. Now, I'm not going to say that that's a character flaw, that's just how she behaves. And to be perfectly honest, I'm okay with that. It's not degrading to the character at all, unlike what you might be thinking. At this point, I feel like I'm just making a number of excuses to any Pekka fan watching this video. Trust me, I do feel bad for placing her this low. I'm starting to see the similarities between this list and Danganronpa 1's top 10. Pekka is very much like Mondo in many ways, actually. For starters, she was also the killer of Chapter 2, and that reveal was also absolutely gut-punching. Second, she also had nothing against the victim of Chapter 2. And finally, when the motive of the killing is revealed, you kind of want to stop her from being executed, even though you know there's no escape. Chapter 2 was one of the hardest for me to endure. Both killer and victim meant a lot to me. More the victim, but still, Pekka's importance to this game cannot be understated nor underestimated. This chapter triggers a lot of following events, many of which will be discussed later on in this list. So I think I'd be right in calling Pekka a true catalyst of change. And without question, the relationship between her and a certain other character made her execution all the more soul-crushing. Chapter 2 was a hard time for me. It was the first time someone I grew attached to died in game. I thought I'd hate their killer, but it turns out I found myself wishing that she'd be brought back later on. Overall, it was just unfair for everyone involved, especially due to that bullshit motive. Peko Pekoyama, it was an honor to meet you. May your blade cut through the toughest opponent. I don't think you understand the gravity of the situation here. Number 9 is unexpected in many, and I mean many ways. Mainly because I've once absolutely detested the attitude this character showed throughout the game. And in a way, I still really dislike it. But no, I cannot say no to this. Yes, I am aware of what this implies. Somewhere along my second playthrough of Danganronpa 2, I have started developing sympathy towards the spawn of Satan herself. I feel absolutely disgusted at myself.
Punishment time!
And yet, I'd feel awful if I didn't include her in the list. I really don't know why, but it's just how I would feel. Now, as half of you are wondering why I would make this little psycho bitch a part of my top 10, and the other half throws a party, allow me to explain my choice as best as I can. Yoko mainly got here through a very powerful piggyback ride, and that was Chapter 3. I know how this chapter is widely considered one of, if not the worst chapter in the main series, opinion I share by the way, but it did do some things right. Case in point, character development. There are 2 characters in Danganronpa 2 that grew a lot in Chapter 3. Yoko is one of them. After the events of Chapter 2, in which Mahiru, the closest thing she had to a maternal figure, and undoubtedly her best friend, was killed, Yoko starts trying to interact with everyone. It's amazing the lengths at which she goes to try and respect the ultimate photographer's wishes. Before this, the Yoko we had was extremely unlikable, even going so far as acting as the main bully of the cast. She was sassy, rude, snarky, etc. Simply put, she became pretty unbearable pretty fast. The first time we see a more vulnerable side of her is during Glass Trial 2, when she's accused of killing Mahiru. Yoko reaches a point of emotional boiling. I think it's here that she realizes just how much she misses her friend. When I first played it, all I saw was a bratty little kid crying over being accused. But going through it a second time opened my eyes, especially considering what happens in the next chapter. When you see her attempt to be part of the group, even going as far as temporarily forgiving Mahiru's killer, you start to think she's changing. Somehow she became more caring, more compassionate. So how about we cut the wings before she flies? Yes, if by some reason you didn't understand, Yoko had potential to be higher up on this list. The only reason she isn't is because of how short her new phase is. She gets killed in Chapter 3. I've never seen a disservice this great done to any type of character, being it real or fictional. It's outrageous. She would have been a perfect candidate to live all the way to the end, but I guess 2-3 had to claim its second life somehow. The best I can do for you is this, Yoko Sayonji. If only you'd have more time to grow, maybe you would be somewhere else. Alright, Number 8 is...
Your voice is too soft!
Number 8 is a walking force of nature! It's the bestest buff boy! Surprisingly not an athlete, Nekomaru holds one of the most interesting talents in the series. Ultimate Team Manager. Now, as a sports fan myself, I instantly liked him. When you first meet him, he has this aura of just pure and raw energy. I mean, for heaven's sake, his eyebrows are made of pure electricity. And let's be honest, who didn't immediately know that this guy was going to be this game's Sakura? If you raised your hand, you're a dirty liar. Nekomaru might come off as a bit intimidating, but he's actually a really nice guy. As the game progresses, he tries to act as some sort of unifying element within the group. Given his talent, I believe that to be pretty fitting. However, until chapter 3, there's not much to talk about when referring him. But when there's stuff to talk about, just wow. It's hard to find any bad thing to say when the main act of your whole stay in the game is self-sacrifice. Yes, midway through chapter 3, Nekomaru sacrifices himself to save the life of Akane Owari, the ultimate gymnast. More than having a mentor-disciple relationship with her, Nekomaru was willing to give his own life to save another's. That's more than you could care to ask, in all honesty. Due to this, he also missed this chapter's class trial. Fortunately, he survived. Unfortunately, his normal body didn't. He resurfaces as a robot, which Chiaki promptly names as Mekamaru. Besides having a hilarious nickname, his core way of thinking and living didn't change a bit, which I was relieved to see. And yet, I had no idea that the problems were only starting. Chapter 4 was gruesome. To date, it's the chapter I feel most uncomfortable playing out of any game. I mean, you are forced to see your beloved characters, possibly your favorites, starve to death in a closed space. And the only means of escape is murder. When you thought that it couldn't get any worse than that. A body has been discovered. Later, after the class trial finishes, you realize that Nekomaru could have avoided his death if he simply walked away from the situation. But he didn't. He chose to end the famine and save his friends by having one final showdown with who eventually became the Blackened of Chapter 4. He didn't give up. He never, not once, thought of running away. And in the end, he saved them all. His sacrifice was indeed fulfilled. But instead of saving one life, he saved 6. Praise be to Nekomaru Nirai, the ultimate team manager!
Ibuki Miata! Put it together and what do you get? Ibuki Miata!
Time for some good old rock and roll, presenting the ultimate musician with her hit single, From Me to You Too! And that's all the time we have for our music segment. Be thankful that I just spared your 60% able eardrums with the sounds of death that emanate from Ibuki's guitar. If I had to describe this girl in one word, that would be easy. Amazing! From early to mid-game, she's the heart and soul of the group. A literal bomb of energy in human form that never ever drains. One of the few characters that I always enjoyed talking to because I knew that I'd leave the conversation with a smile on my face. Bottom line, I really like Ibuki. A lot. She's got this aura of just pure awesomeness that I can't ever seem to get enough of. Whether during daily life, investigations, or just straight up class trials, you can always count on a fantastic quote from her.
It's pitch black! My future is pitch black! Pekka finally snapped! My goodness. I got it right. And I was just throwing things out there. Just as I thought! I'm chosen by the gods!
Well, damn. A character like this should obviously be higher. Right?
How about this one? I call it bold and brash. More like belongs in the trash!
Oh. Right. It hurts, doesn't it? Knowing that this chapter ruined two amazing characters, like, immediately. The despair disease can just go die in a hole, since nobody, myself included, loves it. It turned Ibuki, from what I just showed you, into a fucking robot. How? Oh, how, I ask, do you manage to make someone who used to be a walking, radioactive being into something so boring, lifeless, and above all, unrelated to her? It might just be my biggest gripe with the chapter. You know, minus everything else. Not only that, but Ibuki suffered exactly the same fate as Yoko. Gotta kill off them characters, am I right, boys? For fuck's sake, it doesn't even make for a satisfying class trial. Class Trial 3 was good, but lacking in several aspects. And that execution, ugh. Anyways, let's just move on before I lose my patience. This is about how awesome Ibuki is, not how shitty 2-3 is. The ultimate musician is also a fantastic friend of pretty much everyone. I don't believe there was someone she didn't get along with before all the shenanigans started happening. Someone like this doesn't come along very often, and that is why you seize this type of opportunities. I want you to register what I'm about to say very closely. The next character is my third favorite female character in Danganronpa 2. And she only occupies number 6. I feel awful. But there's no turning back.
My name is Sonia Nevermind.
It's at this point that at least one of my viewers will get the military from the Kingdom of Nova Selic. As I said, Sonia is in my top 3 in the girls department within Danganronpa 2. And probably top 5 if counting both games. Then why, pray tell, is she only number 6? It's weird, right? She's the first character in this list that survives all the way through. And yet, despite the fact that my previous complaints involved the short screen time, she's this low? It just doesn't add up. Well, don't get me wrong, the Ultimate Princess holds a very special place in my heart. A really special place indeed. Sonia Nevermind might just be one of the few characters that I instantly knew would be in my favorites. She's smart, quite beautiful, and above all, just so goddamn ridiculous. For the successor to the throne of the aforementioned Kingdom of Nova Selic, Sonia shows so many skills, it's honestly jaw-dropping. Canon skills involve, for example, the ability to speak 30 languages fluently, and that's not even scratching the surface. But, above all else, what sets Sonia apart is, without a doubt, her kindness. From the prologue of the game, you could understand that even with the title of princess, she wasn't arrogant or cocky. In fact, she wants to be treated like a normal high school student. That actually boils down to the fact that while she's being prepared for her duties as a member of the royal family, she enjoys the peace and calm of a normal life. The relationships between her and her friends are just so pure, so free of ill intent, that she makes me genuinely smile every time she talks. Of course, one cannot mention Sonia without mentioning her strange relationship with the ultimate mechanic Kazuichi Soda. Well, I guess it's more of like a one-way obsession. Sonia does call him a stalker late into the game, Anyways, back on track. I do believe that her character starts to develop immensely in Chapter 4. Again, I don't think I need to repeat what I think of this chapter, so let's move on. Her friendship with Gundam was definitely one of the highlights of that part of the game. It made Sonia realize just how sick of the whole thing she actually was, especially after the class trial. Which leads into... Chapter 5. During that class trial, she gets the, big air quotes, honor of having the last true rebuttal showdown of the game. I think that it was then that she snapped. Understandably so, to be honest. Imagine that you're in her shoes, constantly seeing your closest friends dying one by one. And just when you think it's all over, one of the most important ones admit to having killed another. Her rebuttal is honestly so sad that it added to an already sad class trial in a depressed fashion.
I did not want to hear that! Enough already. Please do not say another word. I do not want this anymore. I am so very tired of doubting people.
Sonia.
And just because she knew the bomb was a fake does not mean we should decide she is the traitor!
I just can't, okay? Sonia is a character that I can truly say without a doubt, she did absolutely nothing wrong. She was just a victim of terrifying circumstances. It may sound cliche at this point, but I don't care, because her smile is one I'd gladly protect with my fucking life. Bow down, you insolent fool, for you are in the presence of royalty. Make way for Sonia Nevermind, the ultimate princess. It's ya
Improve.
boy.
No, that's wrong!
Allow me to cut through everything you might suppose I'm about to say. One could consider a crime placing the protagonist of Danganronpa 2 in the middle of a top 10 list. Easily one of the most liked and above all relatable characters in this game, Hajime is just an overall outstanding presence throughout the story. First and foremost, I find him to be a phenomenal protagonist. Way better than Makoto ever was, that's for damn sure. At least he doesn't need help most of the time to do his job. Sure, he relies on Chiaki and sometimes on Nagato, but usually it's Hajime that takes the wheel of the investigation, and that's a major step up from Danganronpa 1. His ideals and what he fights for / yearns for are also really clear from the start. He wants to be someone who has confidence in himself. He wants to have a talent to be proud of. It instantly connects, most of the cases, to the player who's probably in a similar situation. Overall, when it comes to a good protagonist, I think Danganronpa 2 delivered. Then why is he only number 5? I feel like I can't say this enough, but it feels weird having someone like Hajime stuck at the middle. I guess that, despite the fact that he is indeed an amazing protag, he fails to stand out more amongst his colleagues. Mainly due to his lack of talent, unfortunately. He gets forgotten and overlooked most of the time by pretty much everyone, save a few people like, once again, Chiaki and Nagato. It's in Chapter 4 that Hajime's role starts increasing in both prominence and visibility, and it never decreases ever again. Upon the discovery of his reserve corps past, I believe he falls into an emotional recession, making him question himself more than ever. And as cruel and unforgiving as Chapter 5 might have been, it served as some sort of catalyst to make Hajime unburden his spirit from his own doubtful mind. Which leads us into Chapter 6. It is in the final chapter that the protagonist must shine the brightest. And indeed he does. Hajime's presence during Class Trial 6 is not only undeniable, but fucking blinding. Starting, of course, with the major plot twist of the game. The reveal that the mastermind, Izuru Kamakura, is in fact the same person as our protagonist. Seriously, if you could have seen my face the first time I played through 2.6 and got to that section, you probably would have laughed all your bad energy away. Unfortunately, the laughter would be over pretty quickly, as the characters you've grown to love fall into despair. However, after proper motivation, Hajime returns. As a Super Saiyan? God damn it, someone put just a tiny too much Dragon Ball Z in my Danganronpa. Anyway, the point is that he rapidly takes control of the situation. What I find fascinating in him is that he, in some sense, refuses both hope and despair. Something I didn't quite understand the first time I played. His choice falls upon the future he and the others will create when they start their new lives. At the end of the day, it was Hajime and a certain other character that were the heroes of the story. And with such a bittersweet ending, it felt right attributing number 5 to the protagonist of this crazy story. Ladies and gentlemen, prepare your comments, for we have a tie! Let's just say that my top 3 was cemented long ago, and I couldn't bring myself to put either of these lovely bastards below number 4. Don't you agree?
Damn right!
Show of hands, class. Who likes Fuyuhiko? Damn right! I'm not even going to screw around with this one. Fuyuhiko Kuzurio is a straight up fucking badass. Portrayed to be the unlikable douche that Byakuya was in Danganronpa 1 in the earlier parts of the game, I honest to God thought I'd hate his guts. And that became true. Until Class Trial 2, that is. Even though he's the main reason why 2-2 happened the way it did, I just can't bring myself to hate him. If you can, I can understand why. You should try to be more like Yoko, and respect Mahiru's wishes though. From 2-3 onwards, it becomes easy to forget who Fuyuhiko was before that crucial moment in the story, because his redeeming arc takes up our focus most of the time. And I'm 100% okay with that. I feel awful about many characters in Danganronpa, as evidenced by pretty much all the entries so far in this list, plus all the ones in the Danganronpa 1 top 10. But few have it as rough as the ultimate Yakuza. Upon Pekka's execution, it was revealed that both of them shared a past. And an unfitting conclusion to it unfolds right after. He tries to sacrifice himself in order to save her, but is ultimately foiled and severely injured. After that, in 2-3, we start to see a side of him that we never thought it'd be possible. He seriously wants to atone for his mistakes. Hell, one of his free time events literally has him saying to Hajime,
Hey! Huh. Jeez.
A shining example of this in Chapter 3 is when he tries to interact with Yoko, who's very angry at him, considering him responsible for Mahiru's death. From there on out, he becomes almost like a brother to Hajime, and a fantastic companion to everyone who made it alongside him. May I just add that he has probably some of the best lines in the game?
Hey, do you guys hear something?
Yeah, it's really damn loud. Does Nagato like listening to this depressing crap? I know anything goes here, but this is clearly not fucking okay.
While I believe that he thinks he never truly makes up for what he did before 2-2, Fuyuhiko is without question my favorite survivor of the game. And yes, I know that I basically just spoiled that both Akane and Kazuichi aren't on the list. It's just hard to find something bad to say about him. His biggest selling point is his redemption arc, which I'd say lasts until Danganronpa 3's Hope arc in some way. Fantastic character development, good backstory, and a satisfying closure to an arc that honestly feels like it might be one of the best in Danganronpa earned Fuyuhiko Kuzurio the first spot in number 4. other number 4 spot. It still feels weird making 2 entries in one spot. Well, not as weird as this next character.
Burn in the fires of pandemonium!
I can't even begin to comprehend. Nor do I want to, actually. If we're talking about amazing characters, Gundam Tanaka is up there, man. He is up there. From the moment of his introduction to Hajime, I knew he'd be a phenomenal character to be around. He just had this cool and imposing aura that made him seem like a baddie when, in reality, he was just the biggest softie in the game. The ultimate breeder is, above all else, a friend. A fantastic friend to everyone in the Danganronpa 2 cast. And even though he doesn't make it clear, it's pretty evident when you consider that he wants to get along with his colleagues. Throughout the game, you can always count on him to just provide some of the best comedy the series has seen, while simultaneously and somehow maintaining a super serious attitude towards, well, everything. And yet, behind that supreme overlord of ice facade, lies a nice and caring soul. An individual who deeply cares for his classmates, one way or another. Sure, he may play off as overly chaotic and make no sense at all. Most of the game, that is. But when you reach Chapter 4... when you reach Chapter 4... Upon the climax of Class Trial 4, you understand that it was Gundam the one who killed Nekomaru. At first, it might seem strangely out of character for him to do something like that, given what I just said about him. But you'll soon come to realize that it's entirely within his character to do something like that. Because by killing someone, he could end the famine. He could end the torture that was the funhouse. And above all, he could show the rest of the surviving cast that life isn't something you can give up on so easily.
You weakling! Fall, my tears. If you flinch, you will die!
I swear that hit a little too close to home. It made me realize how often I give up on little things in my life. It made me understand that, were I in that situation, I would probably fall under the same downright apathic mindset that Hajime and the others felt. But Gundam, being the knowledgeable person he is, saw what was happening as a literal crime against life itself, and, determined to make it stop, paid the ultimate sacrifice, alongside Nekomaru. I think it was from this point onward that I knew this wasn't my typical detective/trial game. It was a game with characters so real that it made me feel alongside them. Remember in my top 10 Danganronpa 1 characters when I mentioned Aoya Sahina? Try that, but with everyone in Class Trial 4, minus a certain asshole we'll get to later. It just wouldn't have been possible without Gundam's life-changing message. Don't give up on life. I won't, Gundam Tanaka. I promise that I won't. Not just for your sake, but for all of your friends' as well. I hate that I have to do this. 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 I hate that I have to. Oh, the entry started already. Alright, real talk here. My feelings towards Nagato Kamiya are, complicated. Very complicated. Shall we call this Ranting time! This motherfucker is the main reason that Danganronpa 2 causes me emotional trauma. It's as if he enjoys seeing me suffer every time that deranged look enters the screen. To put into perspective what I think about him, hope has long stopped being a fucking word and my mind only thinks of despair. So, congratulations, you absolute psycho. Let's start with the humblest origins. This guy manages to hide his real, insane nature behind a facade most of us wouldn't see through until that moment in Class Trial 1. And for that, he deserves my applause. Now, I'm not one to pick on insane characters like this, but holy hell, if I don't, the one who'll get insane will be me. And there's no coming back from there. It's not enough that Nagito's cray-cray, he has to make sure everyone around him understands he's cray-cray, even if literally nobody cares about him being cray-cray. Okay, maybe nobody caring about that is a little much, but seriously, get out of my face with your hope bullshit. I've had enough of it when you fucked us over in that first class trial.
But, Eduardo, if you hate Nagito so much, why is he number 3?
Look, about that, even I have to admit something. Nagito is a shitty person to be around, and as I said, he'd probably drive me insane in an instant. But I can't, and I repeat, can't take away from the fact that he is potentially the best character in the series. No, you did not mishear me. I'm indeed saying that Nagito Kamiya, ultimate lucky student of Class 77, is probably the best character in Danganronpa. Period. Before we dip too much into that, I want to turn my attention to my favorite chapter in the series, so far at least. I'll try to abridge as much as possible and maybe do a video exclusively on certain characters later on. Chapter 5 is special for a number of reasons. Two fan-favorite characters meet their untimely end very suddenly, especially considering that one of them was out to weave the traitor. As the class trial progresses, you start to understand the sheer genius of Nagito. That's right, he was crazy, but extremely intelligent. Perhaps the murder with the most thought put into it in the whole series, maybe aside Mukuro. It's amazing the length at which he was ready to go to exterminate despair from, big air quotes, Jabberwock Island. And that brings me to my original point. Remember, Junko Enoshima? Yeah, the ultimate despair mastermind of Danganronpa 1? Yeah, that Junko. Oh, also, remember Makoto Naegi, the ultimate hope protagonist of Danganronpa 1? Now, here's a crazy idea. Why don't we combine both their personalities? I'm pretty sure that was the thought process when making Nagito's character. And it worked. I once said he was the opposite of Makoto, but the more I thought about it, the more I started to realize the similarities between him and Junko as well. The way he preaches hope is very reminiscent of Junko's despair. For Nagito, hope isn't a principle or even a way of life. It's what defines him as Nagito Kamiya. I remember being a bit skeptic when I was told that many people considered him an S-tier character. But replaying Danganronpa 2, I was sort of able to understand why. He's, dare I say it, perfectly written? Or at least as close to perfection as a character will get. And so, we close the book, for now, on Nagito Kamiya, the ultimate bullshit master. This entry is quite long as it is, so I'll just leave you with this. Holy shit! He lost it!
It's amazing! These amazing fireworks surely befit the beginning of the end!
My top 2 was done even before I replayed the game, in all honesty. Truth be told, doing so only strengthened their position on this list. And I can tell you this character is only number 2 because number 1 exists. I told you in Sonia's entry, didn't I? She was my 3rd favorite female of the game. With 2 entries left, the girls... Huh? What the... Oh, you. Yes! I can finally talk about her! Oh my god, she's my little precious baby, and I can... Oh, sorry, what was I talking about again? Oh, right. Perfection incarnate. I'm pretty sure my brain just melted. I can't even begin to start describing the ultimate photographer in a light that isn't biased. I just... Jeez, my computer blew up from the effort to process my brain synapses. All joking aside, Mahiru Koizumi is a special case. She might seem a bit overbearing with the whole "you are a boy, right?" thing, but I can guarantee you that she is one of the sweetest, most genuine, most caring people in the entire series. Alright, gotta get ready for this one. Okay, where do I start? As I said, at the beginning of the game, she comes off as a sort of bossy feminist? Is that the right term for this? God, it sounds really mean. The fact remains the same though. She seemed a little too harsh to the boys of the group in both the prologue and chapter 1. She did play a vital part in identifying the cause of the first killing, and was an overall enjoyable company to keep around, even if it was a bit unpleasant for Hajime. It's in chapter 2 that we get to see, or rather not see, a different side of Mahiru. I've said it before, remember? She was the victim of this chapter, and one of the reasons it stands out to me as the second best chapter in the game. During said chapter, she learns of the truth. In the past, she helped a former friend to conceal a killing that friend committed, and she was overcome with guilt. Especially when she knew that the victim of that murder was Fuyuhiko's sister. She also learns that he killed off her friend out of revenge. Determined to set things right, like she usually does, she meets up with the ultimate Yakuza. Mahiru confronts him with what he did and ends up dead for that, at the hands of Pekka, who works for Fuyuhiko. God, such disservice that makes sense. I hate that it makes sense and that it fits the story. I hate it, I hate it, I hate it! I think she's the first character that I feel this enraged about when talking of her death. Why, you may ask? It's simple. Mahiru was the prime candidate to survive all the way until the end. I was convinced that that would happen. Even when I didn't think she was as amazing as I'm making her out to be now, something just said, okay, this one's a keeper. Imagine my shock when I see her lying against a door with a face that resembles pure terror, only frozen in time, never to move again. And yet, I don't think I really got to appreciate Mahiru as a character until I finished her free time events. A set of seemingly silly and wholesome interactions between her and Hajime really put the ultimate photographer under a shining golden light that never left her since. These are the main reason Mahiru is so high on both this list and as one of my overall favorite characters in the series. These moments depict her as the most nurturing female character in the first 2 games at least. Always happy to tend to others and often forsaking her own sake, but not before scolding them for their goof-ups, especially if it's a boy we're talking about. To finish my thought process, I'll simply state this. She's 100% the type of girl I need in my life, and that is saying something. Something really special, something unique, something indescribable. Mahiru Koizumi is beyond description for me, and not the finale to this top 10. Somehow, someone else got the top spot. Remember what I said in Pekko's entry? If there's anything I hate in top 10 lists, That something is predictability. Being able to tell exactly who is where really boils down the experience to me. However, there's just no escaping it after all. 'Cause it's a game!
Hey!
And nobody plays them better.
Sleepy. Yeah. Want me to tell you?
How? How do you even? It's literally all I can say when confronted with a character like the Ultimate Gamer. I got nothing. Chiaki Nanami, a fan favorite character, one of the most recognized faces of the entire franchise, and my first real emotional bombshell in my entire gaming repertoire. You know, speaking of her during this entry might prove a bit difficult for me, but for the sake of properly honoring a magnificent character, I can sure as hell try. It's not often that I look at a character after playing a game and say, wow, this character is as close to perfect as it's ever going to get. A good example of that would be my current channel icon, Isaac, the protagonist of the original Golden Sun. But Chiaki's something else, I swear. She manages to blend cute with oblivious with serious with, well, basically all you want in a character like her. When you first meet her, something just says, alright, I think this one will be important. The way she talks to everyone, how she's very adamant about preventing the killing game from claiming lives, and above all, how nice she is to everyone is great. It makes for a character that truly just wants the best for the class. Hard to joke about someone who has this sprite when she finds a body. I mean, grow some compassion, man. She's clearly suffering. Nope, let's make her suffer more. Time after time, her efforts to stop Monokuma are thwarted like she wasn't even there to begin with. To be honest, I kind of wish she wasn't. Because I wouldn't have to bear with memories so powerful and so sad that they're some of the few video game related memories that cause me to cry out of the blue. It all boils down to, once again, Chapter 5. I don't know who or what this section of the game thinks it is, because the amount of stuff that it gets away with is probably a whole lot more than it should. From the reveal of Nagito's last descent into insanity with his now iconic laughter, to the search for the bombs to, finally, that class trial. At last, the traitor would be revealed. At last it would end. At last we would have a satisfying closure. Right?
It's... you? Chiaki, you're the traitor?
Please! Hold on! Aw, you totally guessed right. Just as expected. Yep, you're correct. I'm the traitor. The agent sent by the Future Foundation to hide among you all is me.
No. They couldn't have. But they did. And we had to watch it unfold. Powerless to save a character that we had wished was real up until that point. Was it foreshadowed? Even if briefly, yes. And just like Hajime, I'm sure many of us just glossed over it, pretending not to have seen the signs. Kidding ourselves. Remember back in Sonia's entry? That last rebuttal showdown symbolized a lot of us. We couldn't. No, we still can't believe what's happening. Fighting desperately with our emotions for an escape, a flaw, anything that could turn the situation around, only to have our hopes ultimately crushed. And yet...
Congratulations, everyone.
She maintains her cheery and positive attitude, almost as if nothing had happened. Note that there isn't a single sprite in which Chiaki cries. Not one. The closest was the one I showed you earlier. She doesn't ask for forgiveness. She doesn't try to justify her actions, even if entirely accidental. She doesn't even shed a single tear before her inevitable demise. And knowing what happened in Danganronpa 3, one cannot help but draw an interesting anti-parallel with it. Her only wish was for everyone to keep moving forward, to look towards the future, to keep the light of hope going, to save everyone. When you find out in Chapter 6 Chiaki's true nature, everything makes sense. An observant AI programmed from the legacy of the late Chihiro Fujisaki, with the intent of keeping an eye on the cast, and still, it developed a conscience, a will to save its friends, no, her friends from the same fate she suffered while she was still alive. Watching her esteemed friends and classmates slowly descend into a despair-driven insanity, where their vicious alter egos, the ultimate despair within them, would wreak havoc upon the world, all while she herself felt the light draining from her body. This is by far the longest entry in this list, and I'm adding another character to the list of to review later, because I haven't even scratched the surface. Sorry if I sound a bit emotional. I did say this one would be hard. But thank you. Thank you for being who you are. Thank you for the good and bad moments. Thank you, Chiaki. Hello everyone, and thank you all for watching another shitty top 10 video made by yours truly. This one was another one that required a lot of work to do. I had this planned for what? 6 months? I started working on this, I'd say during December of 2019, and now, it's only now coming to light. Again, it's a repetition of the first one. It was fairly interesting, the process of creating this video, to say the least. Because I think the hardest thing to do was the script this time, because Danganronpa 2 has a lot of fantastic characters. I love every single one of them, no exceptions. I love everything about the game, almost. Chapter 3 being like, bye-bye, we don't like you. But the rest is actually pretty good, so I can't really complain about the game. The top 3 was cemented after the second playthrough. But the rest of the characters were kind of hard to determine, and it made for a fun and interesting script writing. I hope you guys enjoyed it, and as always, I encourage you guys to voice your own opinion in the comment section down below, or in the chat, this side here, probably this side of the video, if you're watching this on the premiere, which, if you are, thank you so much, I love your support. But yeah, voice your own opinions. Tell me your top 10s. I can't wait to hear them all and give my opinion on them, because opinions are meant to be spread. Come on, guys. Characters are loved by different people, and honestly, I just enjoy hearing the reason behind why you love character A while I love character B. It's part of being a community. Sharing opinions shouldn't be wrong. That's what I'm saying. I almost died here. Anyways, yeah, voice your opinions. I can't wait to hear them. Anyways, guys, I guess that'll be all for this video. Thank you all so much for watching. If you like this video, consider leaving a like and subscribing if you're new to the channel. And if you want to be notified of future uploads like this one, hit the little bell. You know what to do. Also, if you want to be notified of certain things and want to join my Discord for absolutely no reason, link should be in the description below, as well as the link for the footage that isn't mine, because I always like to give credit to the original creators of the videos I use in my videos, so that I don't get called out for copies and things. But then again, I just dislike using other people's work without proper credit for them. So yeah, check out the original videos. They got very high quality footage of every single trial in Danganronpa 2. And yeah, I think that'll be all. Thank you all so much for watching. Until next time, peace!